Hello everybody.
Hi.
Alright, so new setup. Hopefully the sound is a lot better on this one. We tried the wireless, but
They were
until I
not.
have a trip to the US and buy some decent microphone, that's what you're stuck
Maybe in
with.
Europe when we go there
Yeah.
at the end of May.
Right, so Cultures Week for the Francophones, for the French
What?
people.
What was that for awesome bridge? Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, at the end of May we're going to Belgium.
Belgium to Jack's Gym to do a Cultures Week in French.
Yeah.
I could do it in English as well. We can do a translation because Janina will be there to help. Not that she can translate French, but Jack can translate. If you guys are interested, this was supposed to be for the French crowd, but honestly, if you guys, some of you want to come, Coaches Week is 27th to the 30th, right? Yeah. It'll be in Belgium at Jack's Gym.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? I wanted to talk about shoulders. So I'm doing the modules, you know, the Strongfit system, all that stuff. So I'm doing a module on shoulder issues, there's one on back issues. And I've been working on stuff on the shoulder side that I think you will find interesting, that I'm starting to integrate into the Strongfit system. You see it a bit on the template as well. So something I've seen, one of the main issues for the shoulder is when the shoulder blade doesn't follow the same movement as the shoulders.
Okay.
Or the shoulders don't follow the same movement as the shoulder blade. So what do I mean by that? The shoulder blades move in four ways. It depresses, elevates, shrug, protract, goes out, retract, goes in. Right? Those are the four movements of the shoulder blades. You can tell the shoulders move the same way, right? Except to a large degree. It's a bit more complex with the shoulder because it's like, 24 tendons, 14 or 24 tendons. There's a lot of, it moves a lot, right? There's not actually a capsule, there's a capsule of the shoulder, but it's not like the hip, you know, that is really a very strong joint. The shoulder moves a lot. So, which is great because it allows us great dexterity. But you also have to understand that if the shoulder blade doesn't move with the shoulder, then it's going to start pulling. Right, in the wrong places, AC joints, some of the small tendons, and create an issue. So that means that when the shoulder blade retracts, right, the shoulder would be in a, let's say, backward position. So what do I mean by that? If I relax and my thumbs are pointing forward, I'm in what we would call neutral position, which means my shoulders are lined up. If I turn pronated, my shoulders are going to rotate in, they're forward. Like imagine there's a illusionary line where everything, like the AC joint, like the whole shoulder is lined up with the AC joint, the traps and everything, right? So my thumbs are forward, everything is in line. If I go pronated, my shoulders are moving forward of that line. If I go supinated, my shoulders are behind that line. Right, so forward, neutral, backwards. We're going to call that for not the shoulder blade, but the shoulder positioning. Right. So this is going to come helpful before. So when I retract my shoulder blade, I want my shoulders to be back, not forward. Right, obviously, because otherwise my shoulder would be moving toward that direction while I'm trying to retract. So obviously going in opposite direction. So imagine on the bench, right? I'm sitting on the bench, I'm arching, right? I have my arm extended. The back of my shoulder is touching the pad, right? And I'm retracting my shoulder blade. I mean, my shoulders are back, are behind the shoulder line, right? Everything is tight. Cool. I can press. Now imagine as I'm pressing, I'm still keeping my shoulder blades retracted and depressed, right? So that I can engage my lats and I'm strong in that position on the bench. And as I do this, I let my shoulders go forward.
And then you start to move.
That means that now that the shoulders are past that midline, right? They are being stretched because the shoulder blades are going exactly the other way. Yeah. So you can imagine how pushing the shoulder forward on the bench could fuck up
your shoulders.
And on top of it, that's where the pec comes in, because that's not what when you bench, you're supposed to keep your shoulders back, past that midline, and just press through the triceps. So when I do this motion, nothing moves. If I want to press forward, I'm going to engage the pecs that are basically stretched fully under load, because my shoulders are back. So everything is stretched, and it's just supposed to stabilize while I press with the triceps. If I go forward, I'm obviously going to ruin my shoulders. and possibly tear my pec as well.
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind, and it's probably a bit of a stupid question, but if you lower, right, and if you explain it in things like, oh, but then I can also like round, like from keeping my shoulder blades towards the bench and rounding them that way. Is that then not okay? Is it not okay to leave then
But if you have rounded your shoulder blades when you lower the stuff.
No, I mean, so basically you open and then you close this way, because that I think is a lot what people will do on the bench. Like with the bench and everything we worked on, you taught me to bench in one line. But I see a lot of people, because of like squeeze the pecs and everything, they lower this position and then they make it kind of two movements where then to press out they round even the shoulder blades and go this way.
But if you do that, you stop retracting and depressing the shoulder blade, which means you disengage the lats from the movement.
And that's the biggest thing that you don't want to do on that movement.
Because now what you're doing is you're actually, one of the reasons is not engaging the pecs. I'm going to get to that in a second. It's because your triceps are not strong enough. So you can engage through the pecs because you can engage through the triceps. But then when you do that, that means that you are protracting and elevating. That means your shoulder blades, first of all, your shoulder blades are set and tight.
And then you start moving them.
And then you move them. So that means that you have given up on all tension on the lats, lower back, legs, everything. You're just giving up all tension. And now, basically what you're doing is, because you're not pressing through the triceps, you are putting everything through the pecs. So first of all, you can tear your pecs. But on top of it, you're going to wreck your shoulder, because now you would have to, remember, you're on the bench like this. Now you have to protract. You can't protract underweight at the bottom. You can try to do that to lift, but the bench is not going to let you protract. And remember, all the weight is here. Moving your shoulder blade under max weight is going to be very hard to do.
Oh, just like in any lift, like you want to have like in the bench, but in the press and all of it, right?
Imagine you're squatting on the way down.
Yeah.
Right? You keep everything tight, your shoulders tight. And at the bottom of the squat, right before you go up, you let your shoulders round. What would happen to the lift? You will lose all tension and crumble. Well, that's what happens on the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
You would never do that. Imagine if you did that on the deadlift or the squat.
Yeah, no,
no, but you know what I mean? Like, just take it away from the bench and put it on something else.
Yeah.
Imagine, because it's the same thing. On the squat, the weight is on your upper back. Right? Okay, well, imagine if while the weight is on your upper back on the squat, you let your shoulders round forward at the bottom of the squat. Then you'd kill yourself. Yeah. It's going to be the same thing on the bench. So engaging the pecs at the beginning is wrong. First of all, you might tear. That's when you see the pec tears happening, is when you have that motion. So what I saw a lot of times, and then I saw that in myself as well, is when the weight got heavy and I trusted my pecs more than my triceps, I wanted to initiate through the pecs and shoulders. But that's because I trusted that more. I have small arms, but a big barrel chest. So I always trust my barrel chest over my triceps until I started working the triceps correctly. And so that means I wanted to start here, because it allows me to gain momentum and to throw the weight. But that's not the role of the pecs. That's where the legs come in on the bench. The tension through the legs, where you just drive the weight up and then it's all triceps. Remember, when you bench, you have to push yourself away from the bar, not pushing the bar away. That's one of the rules on the bench, is that. So we can make it is like, why are your shoulders hurting on the bench?
Yeah. No, I mean, it was just more like as that question, because it's an obvious.
That's what I'm saying. Let's make the thing about why are your shoulder hurting on the bench, because it's going to be part of the module anyway. Yeah. So one of the reasons is you're supposed to retract and depress your shoulder blade on the way down and keep them there on the way up. And instead of that, as you lower and you go up, you move your shoulders forward, which means they're going in the opposite direction of the shoulder blades.
Yeah.
You could imagine why that would be not beneficial for the shoulders, on top of maybe tearing a pec. So on this particular thing, what are we going to do about it? So there's an exercise for you to play with. So what we're going to do is you're going to lay on the bench, you're going to put a barbell, and then you're going to put quite a lot of band tension on it. I like the orange band, the thick ones from the thick orange bands. Although with powerlifting, it might be the green ones. We go to Decathlon, so in the US they have specific colors for specific tension. Yeah.
So, nice and organized. Of course, powerlifter organized it.
Organized, exactly. So you put a lot of band tension, and then you're just going to set up as a pin press. So you just press the last 5 inches, right? Yeah. And then from there,
which is a lot.
It turns out. An extra inch matters, turns out. She said it, not me. Thank you.
Sorry, I cannot give this serious
Exactly.
for too
That's
long.
what she said. Yeah. Anyway, so and then you're just going to hold the bar there with the tension.
Yeah.
And so first of all, when you hold the bar, what I want you to do is I want you to bring your shoulders back until the back of your shoulder touches the bench, and that's where you're going to stay. Don't let your shoulders neutral or forward. I want them to come back and touch the pad. Right? So not midline. Behind the midline, they touch the pad, and then we're going to stay there with the bend tension for 30 seconds in your bench position. And what you're going to see happen is, if you're not set up properly, some shaking. So either you're going to go, like up and down because of lack of lats, or you're going to see your arm slightly bent and your elbow started shaking. That's more like a bicep, pec stabilization. But basically, you should be able to just lock out with a lot of bends, the back of your shoulder touching the pad, and once you're there, you should be able to stay there with no problem. If you find yourself struggling, that means that you do not have the proper tension to the lats, the shoulder blade, the shoulder. There's a chance for you to work on your technique, because I'm going to want you to keep this tension throughout the bench movement. So it's a technical assistance work as much as a pure assistance work.
It is a fantastic exercise. I really love it.
It's great for you. This will serve your shoulders.
This is also automatically due to the shaking puts you in a position where this is your bench position, which is
exactly
something I've been struggling with to find what is exactly where I'm comfortable in the bench. And I feel even with the clients, we see that this is an excellent exercise for them, people with shoulder pain, people with that we're teaching to bench and all of those things, that this exercise is just fantastic.
It's fantastic. To me, it's the overhead yoke carry of the bench press.
Yeah, it is, really. That's exactly what came to mind.
Yeah, but you get the idea.
It's exactly what comes to mind.
So we use the overhead yoke holds or yoke carries for the shoulder for exactly the same idea, which is finding your position overhead. On the bench, we use that. And that's why we use the bends. It's very important because it's going to keep you pinning down. So it's going to keep your shoulder back onto the pad, which is on the bench, which is the entire point of that exercise. And a very, very important part of that, because you don't want the shoulders in neutral or especially forward. You'll see what I mean. Let them touch back, lock your arms, make sure you lock your elbows, and in that position, you should be fine. You should be able to hold the weight with no problem.
It's also very interesting on the grip aspect, because for example, you have to really stabilize your grip as well, and you will see that a lot of
let's make this about the bench press. Why are you having a shoulder problem on the bench press? All right, so let me give you tips, the most important part to save your shoulders on the bench press. So we're going to have a few tips. So tips number one, back of your shoulder on the bench, and we're going to keep that position throughout the movement. Rule number two, you have to squeeze the living shit out of the bar. So that's why we're going to have to stabilize the grip. On the way down, on the way up, at all times, you have to squeeze the bar. 5 reps should be hard for you to do from squeezing the bar so much. Right? That's very, very important. No more loose hands. Squeeze the bar. If you have a problem squeezing the bar, then put a fat grip on it. I like it because it's thicker and then it's... There you go. And then it's a little bit soft, so you can squeeze it harder. That's what she said. Yeah. And then that will allow you to get the tension there. Rule number 3, don't move your feet. And that's the point with the bend and the entire idea of that assistance work, is that once you have a bench position in the sense of tension, not just position overall, but what I mean by that is really tension, which means you found the way to set up the legs, you're pressing through the legs, you have retracted and depressed your shoulder blade, engaging your lats fully. Your legs are trying to push you off the bench, but the weight keeps you onto the bench. Your shoulders are on the back of the pad. That's basically the most tension, and you squeeze the living shit out of the bar. That means that your entire body is in maximum tension. That's how you lift big weights on the bench.
Yeah.
So that's 3. 3 or 4, wherever we are. The next rule is we want, I got that from Dave Tate. It was very interesting. We got it from somewhere else. But anyway.
Tension on the back, right?
Right. So the skin of your back will be tight. What do we mean by that? Is that we don't want the skin to be loose on the pad. We want it to be completely tight where the skin cannot move. Why? Because it means that you are driving yourself away from the bench. It's going to tighten up the skin onto the bench itself, and that you're going to keep that tension of moving away, like your head wants to basically leave the bench at all times.
Yeah.
The weight will keep you onto the bench, but the idea is that the tension through the legs will be continuous, right? And we will check that through the fact that the skin will never loosen.
Isn't by the way, side note, those videos are gold.
Dave Tate?
The fact that they are
Elite
for
FTS,
free
maybe.
on YouTube is just crazy.
It's insane. It's Elite FTS. He only has 100,000 followers.
And he's just...
Which is crazy. Dave Tate is one of the... I don't know, like there's not a... But honestly, top 3 strength and conditioning coach out there.
He's just fantastic.
Best one, top 3, whatever you want to call it. But the information that he gives on his Elite FTS channel, I'm on there all the time. It's a gold mine.
It's gold mine.
He has interviews with Dan Green that are fascinating to watch. I mean, with him, with everybody. I think he interviewed every single person in the strength and conditioning world that has lifted some weight.
It's crazy.
He has the best athletes going through. He's a very, more than coaches, but he has all the athletes showing up. He had series with bodybuilders, with powerlifters, with strongmen. That dude is a gold mine of information.
Yeah, it's
He
crazy.
was Louis Simmons' guy, obviously. He's a West Side guy. He's so interesting. And he knows the fitness industry. So if you do yourself a favor, Elite FTS on YouTube, Dave Tate, go check him. By the way, for you CrossFitters, for a small amount of time, he was a strength and conditioning coach for CrossFit.
No way.
CrossFit hired, after they split with Mark Ripito, they went to Louis Simmons. So Louis Simmons became the guy for CrossFit, the strength and conditioning guy with their conjugate system and everything, so West Side. And then at some point he was Dave Tate, and then he became Mark Bell.
Interesting.
But right before Mark Bell, there was Dave Tate.
Interesting.
Yeah, because Dave Tate is a big dude at West Side. Yeah.
That's so
So
cool.
he knows, he's trained a lot of CrossFitters and everything. He's a gold mine on the information. Go there. Anyway, so those will be the...
And number 5, did you want to...
Yeah, it's...
Do you want to have another tip or you...
Yes, it's to keep the tension in the legs. You should not sit on your ass. Your ass should be touching
Yeah.
the bench like you're kissing your sister, not your wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're,
Yeah.
unless you're in the south, but that's a different. So if you're not from the south, you know what I'm talking about. Your butt should be barely touching the pad, because that means you are driving through your legs fully.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't care that you let your hips rest on the bench that much. It's more that, at least I find that for myself, if my ass is not fully relaxed on the bench, like for example, if I relax my ass on the bench completely, I've noticed that I stop getting the tension to my legs, but more through arching my back, which I can actually hurt my back after a while because I'm arching too much into it. I find that if I keep the tension in my legs and my butt barely touches the bench, it's far more effective for me because it just keeps the tension correct throughout the body, which is very important.
This is something I'm working on a lot because it's a very strange movement for me.
Yes,
to get
but
through,
it's because I think
get it from the
people
legs.
don't understand that the bench press is an entire body movement.
Yes, that's people don't understand.
It's like thinking the squat is just a leg movement. Nah, you gotta be tight from toes all the way to fingers. You know what I mean? And so the bench is the same thing. It's an entire body movement.
Yeah. So where do you keep your eyes on the bench?
So some people like to look at the bar coming down, but the problem with this is it has a tendency to make you round the T-spine. So it doesn't really matter. Some people like to look up. I look at about 45 degrees. The IPF requires you to have your head on the pad and not move your head. So in that case, look up.
Yeah.
A lot of people will tell you to look up. As long as your shoulder blades and your shoulder are doing what they should do, it doesn't matter as much. But that being said, you want your head onto the bench.
Because for the overhead
some people when they do that, they'll jack their neck out.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they have to go here to take the pressure off the traps.
Interesting.
Yeah, because otherwise they hurt their neck on the bench. Yeah, like some people have snapped their T-spine benching over 500 pounds. Yeah. It's the bench press is a.
That's nasty.
Yeah. He's a guy broke his T-spine, but it's so much pressure on the upper back. So that's why if you see the best bench pressers have big arms, big upper back, because those are the only two things that matter. The best bench presser don't have big pecs. You look Juliet Maddox, he's 210 kilos, he's 460, so his pecs are not necessarily big, but his arms are huge and his back is monstrous. All of them. It's
very interesting.
Yeah, John Hack doesn't have big pecs necessarily, and then he benches 600 pounds at 200 pounds. He has a triple body weight bench.
That is crazy.
Isn't that crazy? He has a quadruple body weight deadlift.
That's crazy.
John over that actually. Yeah, John Hack is insane. Yeah, there's very, very few. You'll never see someone like him. He has a quadruple body weight. He has 800 pound squat now, and 940 pound, and he did it at 220. So, if he cuts correctly, he might be able to. Was he 220? No, he probably missed. I think he tried to. Can't remember if he missed. I think he missed. I know he missed weight, but he might have been trying to make 198 and was doing it at 203 or some shit like that, or two. So it basically he has a 4 times body weight back squat and a 4.5 times body weight deadlift and a 3 times body weight bench.
That's so impressive.
He's no, but this one.
It's so insane.
It's absurdly crazy.
It's
It's very.
insane.
You know what was interesting with that is the log he couldn't do 300 pounds. I mean, of course he can. He has to work on it. That's all. But he did a strongman competition, finished second.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff he couldn't do no matter how strong he is.
It's interesting.
Yeah. It's like all things. Strength is great, but it has to be.
It has to be applied.
It has to be applied, right? Anyway, so what we're gonna see with all this really is that the shoulders do not move. Nothing moves. When you bench, your entire body should be at attention, and all you do is bring the bar down and then the bar up. So really, it's an arm movement.
Yeah.
The only thing moving are your arms. Your shoulders should be back past the midline, touching the bench, and never leaving there. That's it. Then you're gonna bring the bar almost like not straight down, but toward your stomach, and then back up through the triceps. That's it. If anything moves at the shoulder level over time, that's where the pain is gonna come from. Right, so
then you start to move those, like what we started.
independently.
Yes,
of
and
the
that's
shoulder
where the pain comes
because,
from, right?
Yes, because
general.
you are stretching the tendons under load.
Okay.
And those tendons are there for only one thing, assuring the stability of the shoulder. They're not designed to lift weight. People make that mistake with the rotator cuff. They're trying to strengthen the rotator cuff. No, the only job of the rotator cuff is to keep your shoulder together from falling off. That's all. It's not supposed to move your shoulder. It's just supposed to hold it together. That's
Well,
it.
if you activate that would give you shoulder pain then, right?
But if you put it under load,
yeah, exactly.
So that idea of moving, so the shoulder stays stuck, but you move the shoulder blade. The shoulder blade stays stuck, but you move the shoulder, is putting tremendous pressure on tendons that have no business assisting you doing that. You're supposed to move your shoulder blade, and then your shoulders follow, not move your shoulders independently of your shoulder blades. So, by the way, it also means that if your shoulder blades don't move, you're screwed.
So okay, let's talk about that because that's very interesting. What does that mean exactly?
So that
Is
means
it
that you
then
should be able to protract. So, for example, everybody works always retraction of the shoulder blades without exercise, which is good because you're going midline and back. But then after that, they go forward, but they go forward by using their pecs and their shoulder, but without actually protracting. What do you know the difference is? Well, that's where the teres major comes in. The teres major is bringing the shoulders forward, not the shoulders forward. It spreads your legs out, like the flying squirrel. Like when you see bodybuilder making their back very wide, that's the teres major. That's the opening of the lats. That moves your shoulders forward. So normally muscles are there to move their shoulder blades, to help you move your shoulder blades. So teres major protraction, you have the lats depression, you have all the trap muscle and the bunch toward retraction, you have the top part of the trap toward elevation. The muscles are supposed to take the shoulder blade there. There's small muscle that will help you do that, but the large muscle are supposed to do that. So people usually cannot, for example, depress or protract. If you ask them to do it, they'll move their shoulder, but they will not move their shoulder blades. I made my people on the mentoring program do that for a while. It's like, as a warm-up, move your shoulder blades, not your shoulder blades. Can you depress? Can you can you activate the muscle without moving the shoulders? Can you get your teres major to spread without moving the shoulders? Most people don't have that.
Yeah.
So that's skill number one.
And does, for example, the mobility of your T-span have anything to do with that?
Well, mobility means range of motion under tension.
Yeah.
So that means that if the large muscle group there are not strong, then you can't move. If you can't move, you don't have mobility.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with mobility in that sense. It's just that you don't have the muscle in the right places in order to move the shoulder blade. That's all. So we need to put muscle there, and we need to make them work correctly.
Yeah.
Right, so how do we do that? Well, that's where, I remember I had the performance box and movement box and everything. Right, so angles matter. So what we're going to see... what we're going to see a lot of time is people work only in pronated.
Yeah.
Then you have a close angle with your shoulder usually past the midline, using the pecs and locking out into place completely. But if you deadlift with a barbell versus deadlift in farmer's walk, you will notice that your pec engagement is very, 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 very different.
Even your lat engagement is
Your lat engagement is different, your pec engagement is different. So the body is not designed to only do one thing, ever. So you're not supposed to be in pronated all the time. You're supposed to be pronated, neutral, supinated a bit less. But between neutral and pronation should be a 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Then we should add some toward the supination that is more rare, because turning completely like this makes you use a lot of biceps. It's less of a position. But anyway,
it's my favorite position. I love supinated.
Yeah, because you can use the biceps. Yeah, exactly. So the key is going to be between pronation and neutral. There has to be some kind of balance between the two. And that's something you don't see people do because they're using the barbell all the time.
Yeah. And that's what you actually, for example, like now we are in a structure phase, right? So we're doing a lot more strongman than specifically powerlifting with a barbell, whatever. And what you always notice, doesn't matter, once you lift a lot with a barbell, you learn to lift with a barbell. You learn to lift around a barbell. It's the same thing with pressing as well. With all of the moves, you learn to move around. It's like when I first started lifting, I lifted always with sandbags. So going to a barbell was learning the skill, and that's how I see it really, as a skill. But now doing just purely strongman, you learn to move again, like move your body with weight, or like move different angles, and you see it is so. It taxes you so much differently, and it also makes you so much more sore, I feel like, because it's just a lot less technique. Yeah, okay, maybe it's because
it's just different. So at first he frustrates you because you can't apply the barbell to that because the tension is very different. Like it's like doing a stiff leg with
maybe
a log
not soreness,
versus a
like
barbell.
it
makes you sore, but that's because you're not used to work that angle.
Yeah.
So, for example,
it's just awkward all the time because all the different angles and the neutral grip, and
But people do gymnastics pronated and then lift a barbell, so they're always pronated.
Yeah.
Always. So you might put like a dumbbell here and there, but at the end you're still turning your thumb, so you're still mostly pronated. What we're talking about, for example, is in the template we have this week of pronation, of neutral grip. That was last week. So that means that we're going to do the entire week in neutral. So that means that we're going to press in neutral. We're going to use a Swiss bar or a log. We're going to deadlift in neutral. That means we're going to deadlift a frame, like a trap bar or farmer's handles. And we're going to do a stiff leg, with a log or a Swiss bar. So
that
in
is
neutral.
Absolutely my favorite exercise at the moment.
We did the entire week in neutral. Yeah. So the thing is, when you do mostly pronated and then you put a neutral here and there, you go, oh yeah, it was different. When you do an entire workout in neutral, you start to tag things one after the next, and then suddenly you go like, oh, that's different. So for example, you're going to do a bench press with a log. Then you're going to do your pull-ups on your fists or grabbing handles, but in neutral as well, not... Because when you're like this, you're pronated, even here. So now you're going to have to turn, and it's going to hit your triceps very differently. So do an entire pressing workout in neutral. Even your assistance work, instead of pressing here on the press down, thumbs up. So everything in neutral. And you're going to see suddenly that you hit your triceps very differently. Your shoulders are going to react differently, but you're going to see that your lats are being engaged completely differently, and so are your pecs. Yesterday I did my 10 reps on the frame deadlift, right? So in neutral. And my pecs were talking to me for an hour after that, because reps 6 to 10, I had to squeeze the living fat of my core and my pecs because it was so heavy. And the contraction is to a level that I will never have that, by the way, on a barbell, because when you deadlift with a barbell, you're not going to squeeze your pecs. You should, but it's very hard to do. Whereas with a frame, all you got to do is squeeze together, so you can actually engage your pecs tremendously, which is such an addition to the movement. By the way, as you squeeze your pecs like crazy correctly, guess what happens to the T-spine? It becomes stronger because it's under tension.
Yes, and I feel like it's also, and then once you have that upper body tension, like you're gonna engage that very, very differently, man. Even from the feet on, because like your stance is gonna be different than with the barbell, because it's a lot less measured, which is great, because now you're gonna have to go off of tension, where you know this is the proper way to lift.
And because you've never been taught,
it
you're
is so
stop
beautiful.
Having
expectations.
And that information thing where you listen to 364 people telling you to deadlift differently, where actually they are not. They're all teaching you the same. But they have to sell it differently. So you got super confused listening to too many people telling you on how to deadlift. Go back to a trap bar. Go back to a farmer's handles. Grab them, find tension and lift, so that you can find your deadlift instead of their deadlift. That's the downside with YouTube and everything, is there's so much information, we all get lost.
Yeah.
Well, all of us, by the way. It's just all of us do.
It is true. Yeah, and it's the same with the log stiff. Like if you have a log, like log stiff leg is great, because the bar is like slightly forward, the log is forward. It just absolutely destroys your hammies. And then it's actually a very challenging exercise to make sure that you're not 100%. Going to your lower back all the time. The same with the farmers. It's very tempting with those movements, and of course your lower back is going to work very hard, but it's not the only thing that should be working very hard, right?
But again, like the log also will challenge the way you create tension on your upper body. You're used to the barbell, so you're barely squeezing your hands, you're just relaxing everything. Once you're in neutral like that, you're going to start squeezing your pecs, which of course engages. As you squeeze your pec, you're going to protract your shoulder blades a bit, so now your lats are going to be engaged very differently. And so and it's okay because you're not pressing, but then suddenly you'll see the entire tension is very, very much different. And remember, your body doesn't care about CrossFit, doesn't care about powerlifting. It cares about moving, and that's all. So you need to move at different angles, and that's why in order to have a strong shoulder blade structure, we have to go not just pronated but neutral and also supinated, because all that will change the angles in a way that the shoulder blade will start moving correctly, because you'll have muscles there that will move the shoulder blade correctly.
Yeah, and usually if you cannot, or correct me if I'm wrong, but usually if you cannot do one of these angles, it often shows you where the issue lies. Like you should be able to do all those angles. If not, you're gonna you can expect some pain somewhere at some point, right?
And I got to tell you, like chances are you can't. It's a lot more work to achieve overall angles like that than you think. That's why we had a week of neutral, because I was like, all right, I need to start working on this. And right now I'm pressing in neutral, because the activation of it's far more triceps, especially close grip. It's so much more triceps, which is great because that's what we want. But even like the pecs engage differently. My shoulders feel much more stable like that. The traps are getting hammered differently. Like it doesn't look like it's a big change pronated to neutral, but it's actually a monstrous difference. And then supinated is a whole thing altogether. The best bench pressers actually work all three. Like that's why, like the reverse bench, all of that just hits your triceps differently on top of it.
So talking, because we're going a bit towards the bench direction, right? What are your favorite exercises to get the bench up, besides obviously benching?
Triceps.
So, like for example, like the pin press you really like the Swiss bar.
Press. Yeah, so like for example, right now I'm working a lot with the log because it's a pin press, right?
Yeah.
But Swiss bar is the same. I like the bands because the bands will remind me and help me keeps my shoulder onto the pad. What I'm working on right now is having zero shoulder movement and all triceps.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of the rules of the bench press, right? Push yourself. Oh, that was a fifth. Push yourself away from the bar.
Right.
Don't push the bar up. Push yourself away from the bar. That is the hardest one to get. That you will only understand once you have it. It will take you a week to have it, but once you get it, you'll get it. But it's really that movement of this way. And so, but it's this way, not with the shoulders, this way through the triceps. So basically what you're doing is only bringing the elbows in. That's all. and it shortens the movement, which is good. That's what I'm working on. I find, for me anyway, that the log with bands is by far the best movement. So that's my number one movement right now, actually, over benching. That's the one I'm doing. And after that, I just blast my triceps.
Okay.
And so what I've been doing is a lot of push-ups, either weighted or my feet elevated or whatever, in a close neutral grip. And then off we go, off we go, off we go. And it's a tremendous amount of triceps, but you'll see that your tricep works so differently than in pronated. It feels like it's another muscle. It's not, but it feels like it.
Yeah.
And then after that, the only assistance work, like bodybuilding type, that I do is the press down, but in a GM way.
Yeah, and do you...
Same idea, I just move my elbows. And that actually, I can put more weight. I do sets of 15, 20 reps, and that actually is growing my triceps, whereas other exercises don't. So honestly, for triceps, what I would do for the bench is find an exercise that works for your triceps where you're getting a massive pump, and do 2 sets of 15 to 20 reps 4 times a week.
Yeah. And do you do any overhead pressing to help with your bench, or is it?
Yeah, always.
Really,
but that's almost strongman stuff. So, for example, when we talk about that, my favorite structural for the bench press would be the overhead yoke carry.
Yeah,
I still believe
agree.
it's the best thing ever. The rope pulls, because you will again work the shoulder blade correctly, because you're in supinated, so you're gonna have to bring the shoulders back. By the way, speaking of that, too many people, we see people that do the rope pull with the shoulder forward.
Yeah.
And they stay there. You see that on the muscle-ups, for example. So why does it matter to work your shoulders behind that midline? It's because on the muscle-up, when you come, you're basically retracting, depressing, just like on the bench in order to bring the bar. Here, your shoulders are not supposed to move. You're supposed to simply go into the muscle-up. You see the gymnast?
Yeah.
Their shoulders do not move. Most people do muscle-up here. When they go forward, they shrug, and then they leave that depressed shoulder blade, and they put all the stress on the AC joint and others, and that's why their shoulder hurts. So what we want is to learn to keep the shoulders down, depressed, under tension. And the overhead yoke carry is an awesome way of doing it. But I love the rope pulls, but too many people let their shoulder go forward. So on the rope pulls, I want you to pull with your shoulders back, not forward. People stay here all the time, in that muscle up position where they forward and shrug, and then they pull like this. But then that's not lat, that's biceps. And so they do very short movement where they blow up their biceps. Where what I want is shoulders back, neutral to back, neutral to back, neutral to back, because then you're using the bigger muscle, which is the lats.
Oh, by the way, which is not a hand over
arm
over arm pull.
It's a different idea.
Yeah, which you see a lot of people doing an arm over arm. It's like, hey, I'm doing rope pulls. No, you're not.
No, you're not. Because we did it for a specific movement, right? It's in supinated, you blast the biceps.
It is great exercise, but it's something else, right?
Yeah, no, it's a great exercise. We use it in strongman. It's amazing, but we're doing something else, which is great too, but we're doing something else, right? So for the bench press, it'll be, I know I put rope pulls and everything, but that's because I think it's the best thing ever.
Oh, Hey. This is
Sorry.
Mr. Pulley.
Sorry, one of our French bulldog is snoring. If you have French bulldogs, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so
he woke him up violently.
Yes, I did.
He's upset
I put 23.
Stop calling my dog retarded.
Don't say retarded.
Stop calling my dog
that's
like
anti-woke. Do not retarded is an offensive word. You cannot use the R word.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Stop calling my dog disabled.
I call him 23. It's because you haven't seen pictures of him yet.
He is the cutest thing ever. Anyway, he's my dog.
So exactly. And now we just got demonetized. And so I put rope pulls everywhere, obviously. Overhead yoke carry, especially the carry. The holds are great too, but the carry is amazing because it's going to teach you to lock your shoulders in. When people are not used to the overhead yoke carry, you can always tell, because without a shirt, you see their muscle contracting, relaxing. Whereas when they've been doing it for a while, the back stops moving. Everything is locked in and they just carry, and nothing in the back musculature contracts or relaxes. And that's how you know they're locked in. So for the bench, actually, I still think those two structurally are very important. I'll put that exercise when we hold with the bands.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And after that is just close grip, Swiss bar with bands. After that is tricep work. Close grip, just triceps, more triceps.
I find the rope pulls and the overhead yoke carry are just.
Put it everywhere. They're good for everything.
I was gonna say, like, there's really no reason to not do them all the time. it gives you the upper body awareness ever.
It strengthens your shoulder blades in a depressed way.
Yeah,
that's it.
I do like the sled press a lot, especially when you have a sled press with a very narrow sled. It's so much triceps. I really like that combination of the row
by the way, I love the sled press. Yeah, okay, let's put the sled press as well. So row pull sled press is an amazing combination as well.
It's just the
bit now it's all tricep, but it's going to also teach you to engage your obliques when you press.
That's very good point.
You have to be locked with the shoulders because you don't want to go forward. You're just pressing through. All those movements for the volume are just amazing. By the way, real fast on the bench. We bench every 2 weeks, not every week. Just like the deadlift, you don't need to bench every week. Some people bench 4 or 5 times a week. That's true. For most people, have a heavy day one week, a volume day the next.
Yeah.
It's just for most people, it's plenty, because on the volume day, that doesn't mean you're going light. We're still going to do the heavy row pulls and the sled press. We're going to do the overhead yoke carry heavy. We're going to do sets of 8 to 10 on the tricep, whatever that is. It's not going to be easy, don't worry. And it will build toward that heavy day. A lot of the best bench presser, best powerlifter, best strongmen out there work their heavy every 2 weeks. Maybe you're one of the few that need to bench multiple times heavy per week. Okay, but I can tell you that Eddie Hall, for example, who benched, that motherfucker benched, what was that? He did 600 pounds for 6 or 7 reps benching, which is absurd. That's world-class bencher. No, forget strongman, forget powerlifting. Just he could have been a bench press specialist. He was benching every 14 days, heavy, every 2 weeks. A lot of them do. Yes, some bench every week, but like I remember when we prepped Janina for a 190 kilo deadlift, I could have been the 200. She did one set of 4 reps of heavy deadlifts 3 times per month. Yeah. That's it. So that means that for a full prep, it'd be 10 times. Yeah. She would deadlift 10 times heavy, 10 sets of heavy deadlift for a prep. That's it.
Yeah.
Most people do that in fucking 2 weeks. Yeah. We do it in over 3 months.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also like with the bench, there's so much to work, generally speaking, like the actual bench, doing it like with the bench and the normal setup, you don't need to do it that often, because you can, if you want to work the upper body more often, for example, like I'm catching up time with my upper body since I didn't have any, and still I'm very far behind. Like you can much rather do like a bunch of row pulls like twice a week and spend more time doing that, and then and pull-ups, dips, push-ups,
your tricep.
And then every 2 weeks you actually go on the bench and do that correctly.
So for example, like today we're doing about the bench. If we do about the overhead, I would have a slightly different approach, because for example, like overhead, you look at Haftor when I was coming back to strongman. His deadlift came back right away. Right now he's going for over 500 kilos again. So the rest did him good. Where he got killed is the overhead press.
Yeah.
So whenever you live heavy and you come back, the first thing that's going to go away is your overhead press. That being said, to get stronger, they all tell you need to do 20 reps. Yeah. So overhead press is a lot of volume to get strong. That being said, you're gonna have to put heavy up there. So every 14 days, we overhead heavy. But what we're going to do is a fuck ton of heavy overhead yoke carry, for example.
Yeah.
Stabilization of heavy weight, because
it's a better investment of your time.
Yeah, heavy overhead, you have to hold stuff heavy overhead all the time to be strong. But the pressing, so not like the jerks, for example, that you want to go heavy because your spine needs to get used to being in that position overhead with a lot of weight. The pressing, you want to do like 15 reps, 20, 25. That's how you're going to get stronger. You know why? Because the triceps are getting used to working in that particular plane of movement.
Yeah.
So to get good at overhead pressing, you're going to have to overhead press. The tricep, you mostly need triceps. The bench, you mostly need triceps and stuff. Some technique. Overhead press is a little bit different.
Oh,
you need more overhead press.
Yeah, and because also there's a lot of faults to be done. Like there's a lot of like shrugging instead of like using the lats to stabilize it. Like there's a lot of mistakes you can make.
Every event is different. The axle is not the log. The dumbbell is not that either. Overhead press there's going to be more work to be done overhead. For the bench, honestly, I think what you need is strong lats, a very strong upper back, and a fuck ton of triceps.
Alrighty.
Of course, you're going to have to work on the technique.
Yeah.
Right, and everything. But I think you can be good at the bench without benching that much. Overhead, you're gonna have to put heavy weights overhead.
Yeah.
Often, and then press just 3 sets of 20 reps. Like you're just gonna need so many reps overhead to get, because the triceps have to get good there. For the bench, it's a lot. We have a heavy day and a volume day, obviously, but at the end, the volume day is triceps, 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 triceps.
Yeah.
That's why dips are great if you do them correctly. But same thing, you're gonna, when we say triceps, when we talk about all those movements, you have to be able to do them with your shoulders moving correctly with the shoulder blade. So a lot of time it's going to be not retraction but depression. All the physios make people work retraction, but you can retract and shrug, right? Which is not the same thing as retracting and depressing. Retracting is not enough. You have to retract and depress. Now my lats are engaged. If I just retract, I just squeeze my traps.
Yeah.
Then I can shrug. So if I just retract, when I go muscle up, I'm going to shrug because that's easier. What you have to do is you have to retract, depress, and then go into your muscle up. And that is not the same movement.
By the way, it is a lot of work to get that. Because to get the lats going, I mean, for someone who does not have lats naturally.
I don't know.
No,
I never had that problem.
Anyway, to learn how to, if you're very used to, for example, shrugging a lot or whatever, it is very hard to learn that depression. Because you're so born so freaking perfect, isn't it?
No, I don't have legs, but I do have lats. Anyway, I had to come back on that one. It's a fucking
Thank God,
work.
right?
So it's not just. Did you call me a French bulldog again?
I do love the Frenchies.
Yeah, there you go. So retraction is not enough. You have to retract and depress, especially on the bench. And trust me, that is a lot of work. And until you get it, you won't get it. That's the problem. Is we're asking you to work on something that you will not feel right away. It's like pushing yourself away from the bar. Once you get it, you'll totally understand what we're talking about. To get there, it's going to be a lot of I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't feel it. Same thing with depression. Retracting and depressing engages your lats right away. But to feel that means that you have to work your lats while depressing your shoulder blades, and most people don't. They shrug. So the shrugging constantly is a problem.
You made that point a few podcasts ago, where in your daily life to reach for something, you use this or to go like.
So it's here.
Exactly.
Forward.
So this movement, I mean, unless you're so perfect and gifted like you are, for the rest of us mortals, it is a little hard to use that, because you use it honestly less in your daily life, right? And
everything we do is phonetic, constantly. So do yourself a favor, do a week of neutral grip work to start with, and you'll see what I mean. You'll see how much he rocks you on this.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the shoulders issue on the bench, and then we can do shoulder issues on the overhead press. I'm doing the module. The module will be out soon.
It's very interesting, because it's a little bit the same as when we talked about the interior tilt, the external tilt on the deadlift.
We're doing a module for the back as well, so we'll go through that. I'm doing the modules right now, so I wanted to share some of the exercises that I like and how we program them.
Yeah.
So we'll do something for overhead, and we'll do the same thing like back issues on a deadlift, for example, what we see, because I have some exercise on how to teach you how to push the hips forward. So, but that's part of the Strongfit system now. Those are the modules I'm putting together for the mentoring program, and I'll probably do a module for all of you that we can do for like an 8-week deadlift progression when we go through all the movements.
Yeah.
Sounds good?
Sounds good to me.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.